But the idea as an artist of getting up on stage and being like, you guys, you had a dream that you could see me, Dave Chapelle, and my dream was to be better than all of you.
That Amy?
Yeah, so twig bitches like you don't do it behind my back.
Oh my God, I made Fat Linda cry today. I just shouted out to her, then I remembered we only call her that behind her back.
Like, okay, so you watch Pitch Perfect with your daughters and you thought you could get away with that. And you didn't. I caught you, Ricky. Alright, so years ago I watched Nanette by Hannah Gadsby when it first came out. In Nanette, Hannah Gadsby covers a wide range of feminist issues, including the mistreatment of women in sexual situations. And basically she makes a direct line with anyone watching at a certain point and says, men, you need to do better. Men, you need to start listening to the women in your lives, and basically starts giving orders on how we should and shouldn't handle ourselves. And the person I was watching with at the time said, oh, you seem unsettled. Like, is this uncomfortable? Like, do you disagree? And I said, no, I don't disagree. The issue is I agree wholeheartedly, and I feel like she's talking to the wrong audience. I feel like anyone who's got this far in the special, anyone who's chosen to watch Nanette by Hannah Gadsby, probably already agrees and probably is the type of man that she doesn't need to be explaining this to, and the type of man that she would need to be explaining this to would not be watching feminist comedian Nanette to begin with, so it almost feels like it's a lost point. Now, the reason I bring this up is there is something in knowing your audience and knowing who you're talking to. The reason I bring this up, though, is that I'm reminded of this phenomenon every single time we get an edgy male comedian get up on stage to an edgy audience and explain what jokes are.
My last show, Supernature, dropped on Netflix last year. Big backlash, wasn't there? Big backlash. People going, you can't say that. You can.
Explain that we shouldn't be offended and explain that it's just comedy. It is so exhausting.
I don't do that either, okay? These are all jokes, all right? I don't even use that word in real life, the R word. You just used it, Rick. Yeah, in a joke. That's not real life, is it? I'm playing a role. You sounded pretty convincing. Yeah.
Now, if you guys came here to this show tonight thinking that I'm going to make fun of those people again, you've come to the wrong show. I'm not fucking with those people anymore.
Watching these well-known and well-regarded comedians get on stage, make an edgy joke, and then go, oh yes, everyone's so sensitive nowadays. Well, it's just a joke, guys. Stop being sensitive. Why do I need to sit here as an audience member who came for comedy and just watch you workshop what your next tweet is going to be in response to a blue-haired lady on Twitter? It's exhausting. I can't do it anymore.
Shaming me. Cancel Matt Rife. Bitch, you can't cancel me. I'm not your gym membership. And she was one of those people, right? She saw everybody getting their licking. She wanted to be a part of that. So she started saying meaner and meaner and meaner things.
Ricky Gervais has just dropped a special called Armageddon, and Dave Chapelle has just dropped a special called The Dreamer. Both of them are just self-indulgent, out-of-touch comedians doing the same shit that we just keep hearing about over and over again. Ricky Gervais' special in particular is incredibly bad at this.
I don't understand at the moment is Ricky Gervais keeps talking about like free speech. There's a tweet he did the other day saying, if you get offended by what I say, just imagine the things I think. You know, if you're going out your way to go on about people that care about, you know, what you say and they don't like what you say, so it goes against what you're trying to be. Like, you're trying to be like, I don't care what people say, or what people say about why I don't get to have my free speech. But then you're going on about people caring all the time.
Yeah, it's like being offended. People getting offended.
Yeah.
You're now being offended.
Yeah, he's part of the problem.
Oh, everyone's saying you can't say this, you can't say this. Well, guys, it's just a joke. It's so exhausting. In fact, I actually think these comedians are the ones keeping this whole woke culture war going. I feel like most of the radical cancel culture is slowly kind of dissipated and cooled off over time, but these guys are almost desperate to keep it alive just so they can have something to complain about. It's the exact same mentality, just in the other direction.
What happens to a dream deferred? Look at Dave. He doesn't know.
Thank you very much.
The Dreamer.
Dave Chapelle, one of the most decorated comedians of our time, literally has a joke in his latest special where he goes, oh, and if I get in trouble, I'll tell the judge that I identify as a woman. And it's like, dude, you know what? I'm not even offended. Like, I'm not even mad at the jokes. They're just jokes we've heard so many times. Like, when are they going to find new material? It's just the same baity shit where it's like, oh, I hope Twitter doesn't complain about us. Oh, I hope the woke mob doesn't come for us. And I think they actually get off on it. Like, I think they like the woke mob coming for them, because that's what it feels like to me, and that's what all these comedians keep playing into. There was that widely mocked tweet or fucking X that Jimmy Carr made where he was like, general audiences aren't ready for this level of edgy comedy, and then it was basically, again, just more of the same shit.
I'll tell you why it's great to be here. What I'm saying on stage tonight is barely acceptable now.
In 10 years' time, fucking forget about it.
I opened Twitter this morning to see this Ricky Gervais ventriloquist dummy just ethering the American public with sharp and timely jokes that really push the boundary of what can be said on stage. This is definitely not just another out-of-touch 50-year-old man hammering home the same exhausted talking points you've seen from every single comedian for the last 15 years that's like, you can't make jokes anymore. No, this is very different from that. Let's get into it. He opens with a banger about how your grandkids, they're not going to call you grandma and grandpa. They're going to call you non-binary old person. Again, very sharp, a very fresh take on gender, which is super uncharted territory for the edgy 50-year-old comedian crowd. I don't think I've seen anyone else really touch on this. This one, what if I, 50-year-old man, did not like One Direction? And this is what I mean when I say like very timely stuff, just hammering One Direction at like the peak of their popularity. They were just in the news 8 years ago for breaking up. This rocks. I love dark humor.
Then you've got Matt Rife's latest special. Matt Rife isn't even part of the old guard. He's new and he's doing it. He just has a whole special where he's like, if you're offended by one of the jokes I make, you really need to go home and look at yourself. That says more about you and how sensitive you are. And then he's like getting fucking annoyed that a 7-year-old had something to say about his special.
Matt Rife is now beefing with a 6-year-old. Matt responded to that saying Santa Claus isn't real and your mom buys you presents with money she makes on OF.
And that's the thing. All these comedians sit there and spend their hour-and-a-half long specials that they were paid $10 to $30 million for to complain about a whole society needing to get thicker skin just to get sensitive on Twitter and have a fucking cry when people don't like their jokes. And you know what? Make better jokes. Typically, I find consistently that the comedians that are actually funny can get away with a bit more because most people go, oh, you know what? 90% of this special was good-natured and actually trying to make us laugh. Therefore, we will forgive these edgy jokes. I haven't really heard any controversy for Shane Gillis for his whole Down syndrome bit because first off, you can feel like he actually likes the people that he's mocking, all right? Those are personal anecdotes of a family member he has.
I will say, I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, I do have family members with Down syndrome. It almost got me. I dodged it, but it nicked me. It nicked me. You know what I mean? Like if I tell people, if I'm like, yeah, I have family members with Down syndrome, people that have never been around it are always, oh. Like Down syndrome's the fucking end of the world. Oh. Are they okay? Are they doing okay? It's like, they're doing better than everybody I know. They're the only dudes I know having a good time pretty consistently. Sorry they're not on fucking Adderall and anti-anxiety like the rest of us.
And two, the rest of the special actually feels like he's trying to make someone laugh.
It's still new enough in the relationship that my girlfriend like screams every time we have sex. And I'm just up there like, yeah, right. It's a nice gesture. And sometimes it tricks me, sometimes I'm like, yeah.
Right? So as a result, as an audience member, when he gets that section, you go, oh, I actually believe that this is in good faith. But when you get Ricky Gervais and Dave Chapelle get on stage and really just complain about an audience that they're not even trying to appeal to, and then mock them and do cruel imitations and just say that they're all too sensitive and they're taking up oxygen, it's like, well, you know what? Like maybe people aren't going to like you. Like you're actively being unlikable. And not only are you being unlikable, but you're being tired and played out and not funny. Poor jokes on Dave Chappelle's part aside, the part I'm more offended about is that we had to sit here and basically watch him jerk himself off for a lot of the special. First off, the special opens with what sounds like a funeral march. And my girlfriend literally walked in the room and went, why does this sound like an in memoriam for Dave Chappelle? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know whose idea this was. But anyways, he starts and like the first 5 minutes are just like, I've got famous friends. 24 years ago, I wasn't famous and now I'm famous. And now you guys, you peasants are paying to see me. How fucking crazy.
Almost 24 years ago was the last time I was on this stage in this room. I was taping my first 1 hour special. It's called Killing Them Softly. My girlfriend was sitting in that row, pregnant. She's now my wife.
Another great moment of self-indulgence where after explaining the Will Smith and Chris Rock bit, he basically puts himself in that story and goes, I am Will Smith. I am the guy that will get up and smack the shit out of anyone that has anything to say about me and my dreams and my family. That's like, dude.
I am Will Smith. I am the man that cannot take it anymore and will slap the shit out of the next person that says a crossword to me or somebody that I love.
Like, stop fucking jerking yourself off on stage. Like, what is this? What is this? Like, oh, I'm a real man, oorah. Like, fucking, that's the thing that we didn't like about Will Smith, and now you're doing it. And then on top of that, he then goes, I'm also Chris Rock. I can be victimized. I hate it when people step on my dreams. It's a tough dichotomy to balance.
And I am Chris Rock. I am the man that can get slapped in front of the whole world and keep my composure so I don't fuck anything up. That is what men do.
Embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Like, come on, all right? Like, and I know I'm going to get flack for this. I know I'm going to have a bunch of comedy fans sitting there being like, oh, fucking hater, but like, come at me. Like, aren't these guys all about having thick skin? Like, why do you need this external validation from your audience? It's pathetic. Then he has this whole section where he talks about how when he like gets home and like goes to this town, like everyone comes up to him and goes, oh my God, it's Dave, it's Dave, it's Dave. And it's only when he's treated as a common man that he feels like he's humbled and like has a touch of humanity. And it's like, what on earth? Like, leave this on the cutting room floor, man. Leave it. Like, we don't need it.
I used to be poor in this city, and all day people just said, hey Dave, like they knew me personally, and I felt like I knew them. But then sometimes I feel regular.
His ending monologue, all right? Previously, he has finished some of his greatest specials since he came back on Netflix with these incredible monologues. In one of his specials, he did this amazing 20-30-minute story about a pimp and how they mistreated one of their prostitutes. After George Floyd was killed, he did an amazing speech about George Floyd. Even in the closer, which I had a lot of problems with, the last story about Daphne, the transgender woman, was genuinely moving. In this one, his 20-minute section is basically a prolonged story, basically relaying the same points of the Here's to the Ones Who Dream song from La La Land. Like, basically he just sits there and goes like, I'm a dreamer. I see fellow dreamers. I see Lil Nas X and how he wants to suck the devil's dick, and I see a fellow dreamer. I am a dreamer. He then turns to the audience and goes, you guys are dreamers because you dreamed that you'd be here watching me tonight, and I dreamed that I'd be a millionaire comedian. It's the most condescending shit. And you know what? I don't need my celebrities to be relatable. I like celebrities being rich and famous and like really talented at what they do. That's the reason they're on stage and I'm not. But the idea as an artist of getting up on stage and being like, you guys, you had a dream that you could see me, Dave Chapelle, and my dream was to be fucking better than all of you. It's so fucking weird. It's just so weird. What the fuck is going on with these Netflix comedy specials? They're so bizarre. All right. Then the Ricky Gervais special. Oh my fucking God. Basically, the vibe I get from this Ricky Gervais special is that friend that quotes Reddit articles they've read or news clippings they've read and pretend they're like funny insights they've had. You know those people? Like, you know those people where you're sitting there and they'll literally quote like a tweet or a meme that they've seen before to you, and you're like, that isn't your original thought, and you're trying to pass that off as one. That is what this whole Ricky Gervais special feels like. Or it's just him doing the same, like, I identify as a helicopter. You can't say anything anymore. Let me explain a joke like a dead frog. It's so fucking annoying. For example, he goes like, did you know, right, that there is a degree in a university where you can study Taylor Swift? And like that's the joke. And he does this for like 10 to 20 to 30 minutes. When I first watched this special, I was watching it with my boss in our downtime, and we got to the 25-minute mark-ish where he did this story about Africans and AIDS, and we actually had to switch it off. I went, that's enough. 20-minute tangent where basically he goes like, AIDS is so bad in Africa that some babies are just born with AIDS. Ooh, right? And then everyone gets like, ooh.
In the wilds of Africa, where everything wants to fucking eat a newborn baby, babies are vulnerable enough, aren't they? In Africa, a baby can be born in a mud hut. There's a lion outside. It's covered in blood because they can't wash it. They've got no water. Oh, and it's already got AIDS.
And so then he goes, oh, okay, well, can you imagine like the imaginary couple in this situation turning on my special, you know, with their baby with AIDS, seeing this joke and being offended? And then he basically goes, of course you can't, because they're not fucking real, so you shouldn't be offended.
And she goes, oh my God, Jeff, why are they all laughing at us and our baby with AIDS? And Jeff goes, yeah, but we're a fictional couple with a fictional baby with AIDS. Anyone offended by that is a fucking moron.
And it's like, but AIDS in Africa is a real issue. Like, people aren't going to be offended because they think your very specific hypothetical is real. If people were to be offended, it would be at the concept of the joke in general. This is basically the same idea if I made a joke at the expense of a fictional Jewish person I made up for a joke, and then someone called me anti-Semitic, and then I went, oh, well, it wasn't a real Jewish person, so therefore, and it's like, fucking no, that's not how humor works. Now, the thing for me is, I'm not offended. Like, I'm not angry at the joke. I'm angry that he makes a joke and then spends 15 minutes on this ridiculous tangent that isn't even airtight in its logic. So basically, we're just sitting here watching him defend himself to no one. Like, it's just so fucking odd. I don't understand. Like, what is this comedy? Like, let me explain my jokes until they're just not funny at all, I guess, is the style of comedy. Next, we have this just lazy bit where he basically goes like, oh, you know, black people using the N-word, that's cultural appropriation because white people invented that. And it's like, are you fucking serious? Again, I'm not angry, but it's just like, that is a joke that like 17-year-olds think of over school lunch and say to each other and then go, oh, we should start a podcast. Like, this guy is meant to be one of the best comics and he thought that was like a banger. Then we get this Fat Linda bit, which I know for a fact is basically just a ripoff of that Fat Amy joke, right? In Pitch Perfect, Fat Amy goes, I call myself Fat Amy, so skinny bitches like you can't say it behind my back.
What's your name? Fat Amy.
You call yourself Fat Amy?
Yeah, so twig bitches like you don't do it behind my back.
Like, oh my God, oh, I made Fat Linda cry today. Oh, I just shouted out to her that I remembered we only call her that behind her back.
Like, okay, so you watch Pitch Perfect with your daughters and you thought you could get away with that. And you didn't. I caught you, Ricky. However, I do need to give him some credit, and this almost made it worth the price of admission. His bit on does the dog die at the end was genuinely great, all right? The rest of the special sucked, but his little bit, I won't even spoil it. Go watch the special and find the last 20 minutes just for his section on doesthedogdie.com. That is the only redeeming part of this special. But again, he just closes this special with, oh, we're all getting so sensitive and we can't laugh anymore, and eventually nothing's going to be okay to laugh at, blah, 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 blah. And it's just, I need Netflix to be more selective with the stuff they say yes to. I know these comedians have an inbuilt audience and people will watch whatever they put out, but it's just exhausting to watch these specials with these comedians just doing this same shtick over and over again. They need to let it die. These old comedians need to find new material that isn't just, the woke mob's gonna come after me, don't cancel me for what I'm about to say. No more. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I just need to get this off my chest. Thank you.